I'm Chelsea Zaccato.
And I'm Natalie Heacock.
And this is Lumber Slingers.
Each podcast, we will be bringing you relevant and useful industry information, including interviews with top lumber professionals and discussion of current events in the industry.
Whether it be lumber grading, industry and market trends, or who's who in lumber, we hope to extend your current tally on industry knowledge.
Welcome, everybody, live from the Mass Timber Conference in Portland, Oregon. International Mass Timber Conference.
Yay. If you hear that feedback, that's because we're live.
On the show floor.
On the show floor. This is us stretching ourselves, and we're really excited about it.
Yeah, it's super fun. And it's kind of loud in here, so only we can hear ourselves.
Yes, only us, which is great. Everyone's standing around, they can't hear us.
No.
We could be talking bad, but we're not.
We're not. Everybody's beautiful.
This has been absolutely an amazing experience. We're on day 2 of 3.
Yes.
So we will have more coming, but right now we're on day 2. Follow our Instagram for our live updates. Yesterday we did a really cool tour. We're going to get into what we went and saw, but we Instagrammed it. We're going to
kind of go over what we saw today and what is to come tonight and some of the interesting booths that we visited so far.
Yes. So
let's get right into it.
should we talk about yesterday first?
Yeah, let's talk about yesterday.
Okay. So we woke up at the ass crack of dawn.
Yeah. 4 a.m. with a little baby, so
Yes.
I could feed her before I leave.
Yeah. And we met at the convention center, and our first stop was Port Blakely, outside of Malala.
Which
and
is how long out? Like an hour outside of Portland.
Yeah, an hour outside of Portland.
East.
And they're totally set up for tours, which is really cool. They said they get like thousands and thousands of fourth graders in there. They do lots of nature walks and just education around forestry, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I've never been to a private timber forest land.
Yeah.
Have you?
No, I haven't. And I feel like we've focused on this podcast a lot on forestry at the public level and, state and federal lands. And it was an interesting perspective to have a private landowner because the vice president was there and he was talking about pretty much any question that anyone asked. They went back to, what's the goal of the landowner? What's the goal of the landowner? And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that before, that they work so much with the landowner and what the landowner wants.
Right. I mean, I guess
what
it's
they
their
wanna
land.
focus on. Yeah, it makes sense.
Makes sense. True that.
Yeah, true that.
So that was really neat. And they had speakers. We had 3 different spots that we stopped at and learned about. OFRI, Oregon Forest Resource Institute, was a big presence there. They had lots of handouts, lots of information, lots of knowledge, and gave us these books that they have: Finding Common Ground, Not So Clear Cut, and Sourcing from Sustainable Forests, which this is, on the cover of that is Oregon State.
Oh, cool.
Remember?
That's right. It
We've
is
been there.
PV Hall.
Yep.
Yep.
And Oregon Forest Facts. And just the education that they're doing around sustainable forestry is fantastic.
Yeah, I think the one thing that kind of stuck with me from yesterday that they talked about, when people hear about clear cut, it has a really negative connotation with it. But they think about it in terms of trees grow for 55 years. When you do a clear cut, it's 2 years before those trees are, they're planted, but by the time they're actually growing and they are a tree again, it takes 2 years. So clear cuts don't last forever. They last for 2 years, which
Right.
I thought that was really interesting takeaway from kind of a negative connotation on
Right.
clear cutting.
And he also said that something around like 89% of the trees that they plant in a clear cut make it. So that's a pretty high statistic. I didn't think it would be that high.
Yeah.
Lots of positives around
Lots
it.
of positives. And it's not like you can just, in America, go clear cut anything.
Right.
You have to leave a certain percentage of land. There's a lot of
setbacks. If there's salmon in the stream, that was kind of cool that we actually got to see live, like in real life, like here's a setback. This stream has salmon. This is why this one's so much farther than the other one.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
nice to actually experience it, especially for this conference because there's so many different levels of different pockets of the industry here that some of these people never get out to a forest and
Right.
actually see where the timber is coming from.
Right. And this conference really encourages all aspects. which we didn't really get into the overview of the Mass Timber Conference yet, but they touch on everything, like you said, but you can come here and attend education sessions all day long. You don't even have to come out to the trade show floor. You can go on these tours on the first day. There was 5 or 6 to choose from. And then, obviously you can come here on the floor and network and see mass timber in action. So cool. They have a mass timber building that they are constructing and deconstructing all day long on the show floor, which was awesome. So that was stop 1 yesterday. Then what else did we see?
Then we went to Estacada, Oregon, and we saw solder timber. And that was cool because it was a mass timber building to house a mass timber production facility, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool. And the mayor of Estacada was
yes,
there.
Mr. Drinkwine.
His last name is Drinkwine.
Drinkwine.
Like, tell me you didn't make up your last name without telling me.
Yeah, that was neat. And it was neat to see. I mean, also for me, because I'm local, it meant more because just to see Clackamas County was there, which is the county that the building was built in, promoting business and industry and promoting timber, which is fantastic. So we love to see it.
Yeah, that was awesome to see.
Yes. And then the third and best stop, I thought, was the new East County Library, which is 30 minutes from downtown Portland, Oregon, and it's a beauty.
It's gorgeous. 93,000 square feet, I think they said, of just mass timber. And even when they were looking at the request for bids on this job, they found that mass timber was the most economical choice.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was really cool.
And it's good to hear. I mean, it gets the word out that it's a good option for construction. So it's going to be beautiful. And I thought it was really neat. They talked about how some of it was like overbuilt as like, do you remember that part where they were talking about how they didn't actually need all that mass timber, but they were creating experience and a vibe.
Yes.
And so they did that on purpose, and it was still cost competitive.
Right. Yeah. Structurally, I guess they didn't need some of the mass sections on the roofing, but they decided to use it throughout the entire building. So I'm excited to go see it when it opens.
When it opens.
We'll have to sneak wine into there and
because they're having a roof deck, and it looks like there's going to be a fireplace in the drawings.
Yeah,
so
it looks really, really, really cool.
It makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that was our tour yesterday, and by the way, that was one of 5 tours.
Yeah,
so there were multiple tours,
options.
And we had a hard time picking, and selfishly, we picked that one because I live in the area. And our tour was called Forest to Frame, but they have Portland Buildings and Manufacturing, Washington and North Portland areas. They actually went and saw a different library, which is interesting. I guess there was a big bond in the area to redo and build new libraries, so that's fantastic. 3 was the Willamette Valley, which is where a lot of our timber comes from, was a tour down there. 4 was manufacturing and hospitality, which I think they went to a winery, and I don't know if they got wine at the end of the day, but if they did, we picked wrong. So that's disappointing.
There was one that was like touring a spa, and I'm like, do I want to go with Natalie, or should I just go beeline to the spa?
Oh, that was the same one. It was wine and spa.
Oh my gosh.
What have we done?
I picked the wrong one. Library?
That one, though, was more for design.
Yeah.
And that's, not necessarily us. And then the last one was Forest to Frame. So they had 5 tours, and they were all sold out, which is insane.
Yeah.
So
they usually are. I've noticed when this comes through town. So
yeah, they do such a great job here.
They do such a good job.
So the conference itself, I think we talked about some of these statistics when we had Arnie on, but I think these are the final statistics for the conference. 3,000 plus people here today. Crazy. It's huge.
Yeah, when we talked to Arnie, their first, iteration of this conference, they capped it off at 200.
Is that right? Yeah, it was something small.
Yeah, so it was small, and then it just kind of grew, and they could see that there was a demand for it, and it's kind of where the world was going with this mass timber movement. So that was really cool. How many countries are represented?
30 plus.
30 plus. I heard Arnie said close to 40 this year. So in our group yesterday, one of the guides asked, who's from Oregon? A lot of people raised their hand. Who's from, anywhere in the States? A lot of people raised their hand. It was about equal. It was like a third. Who's traveling internationally, and about a third of the group raised their hand. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very diverse population here for sure. One other thing that they're doing that I think is really neat, they are having education sessions all day long, and depending on what you're interested in, they have different tracks. So if you're an engineer, then you would follow, they have laid out tracks for you. You don't have to follow them, but they're, very educational. You can be out here on the floor if you want. You can catch the sessions if you want. They have keynotes every day. It's a really well-run conference.
For not being around for is it even 10 years yet? I don't
know.
I think they said 2016. So next year would be the 10th year, and that's crazy. Yeah.
So what's, as we're looking around, we're looking at all these different booths. What's your favorite thing that you've seen here today?
I really like, and we can, we'll put in some shots of this into our videos and our vlog. Check out our vlog. But I love some of these structures that are built on the floor, just for this show. We're actually lucky enough to sit here at the Freres booth. They were kind enough to lend one of their panels for us to sit at.
This is their clear MPP mass plywood panel.
Yes.
And it is beautiful.
They have 7 different types of panels that they're detailing in their, what would you call this? Would you actually call it
really
a booth?
It's like the centerpiece. It's like
Yeah.
the main attraction of the entire show.
They're literally in the center of the show
They
floor,
have ping
so.
pong. They have cornhole. They have extremely nice employees.
Very nice.
So
employees.
kind.
Yeah. Andrea, shout out. She styled our little area to record. So
Yes,
that's so
she
nice of
did.
her. She's such a cheerleader in the industry. She's awesome. So
Very kind. So
Very
thank you to
kind.
them for letting us be here.
yes, thank you.
I think what's neat, besides what you already mentioned, which is the actual live building and deconstruction of a mass timber, like, would you call it a building?
Yeah, structure. Yeah.
Is all the other structures. There's
Mm-hmm.
there's one I can see from right here, 3 at least 2-story mass timber structures on the show floor that you can climb up into.
Yeah, you kind of just like look around and you're like, wow, this is how mass timber is being used.
Yeah.
In a much smaller scale. You can see the example of it.
We found a mass timber tiny home.
Oh my
which
gosh.
was fun.
And we're going to play a little prank later because we have a suitcase full of podcasting gear and we're going to pretend like we're moving in. That was Natalie's idea.
Close the door and see what happens. It's super cute though. And
cute.
if I needed a tiny home, I would get that. It's biophilia.
Biophilia.
You just feel good inside. And there's like tons of windows. Assuming you'd be under like a canopy of trees, it would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be amazing.
If I remembered the company's name, I would say it. It was Cedar something.
You're right.
Cedar Stone.
Cedar Stone.
Cedar
Wow,
Stone.
Such a good memory.
Yeah. So that was neat. I think probably my favorite thing I've seen so far is the Iron Workers Union is here. And
Same from here. 2
I'm
stories.
sorry, it's Union Iron Workers. And actually it's really interesting because there's one from Chicago and then there's also one from Portland. But we went into their 2-story building, which is steel and mass timber combined together.
Yes.
And they have really adopted it, and they're talking a lot about like how do these 2 materials work well together and what does it look like. And they are doing tons of mass timber projects in Chicago. They're having a little problem with the whole firewood thing, right? That's what he mentioned to you.
Right.
There was like a massive fire in Chicago.
Well,
and
it was like in 1871.
Yeah.
Well, this is like a kind of, I think every city has had to go through this when they bring in mass timber. There's fire code that basically says you can't build, over a certain amount of stories with wood. So, I know that Chicago is not the only, but they have to kind of work through the laws that are set up in place where you cannot build that high of a building or structure with wood. Now, since this show has started, a lot of those laws have been changed. There's been a lot more mass timber. Just in Portland area and surrounding area alone, there's 14 projects right now using mass timber. At one point, there's one in the world being built. So
Right.
it's just, having these union workers and their representatives and our industry and engineers and architects that are for this, getting it written into the code is so important.
Right.
And that's kind of something that the Mass Timber Conference brings all of that together into one, which we don't see in a lot of the conferences we attend. It's usually
Right.
one side of the industry. This really brings everybody together where they're working together. And I mean, that the iron workers is like a really great example of being from such a different side of the industry and wanting to work with
Mass timber.
something like mass timber and not just iron.
Right. And just having contractors readily available who know how to work with the material is
Mm-hmm.
huge. So it's like, you have to have so much passion to bring a new product to market when you think about the permitting and how do you work with it and the fasteners
And the architecture has to call it out,
architecture
you know?
and structural engineering.
Yeah.
And there's so much, and everyone here is such a champion for it, and it's fantastic. I mean, what better renewable resource could you ever have than this?
Seriously.
Yeah, and it's really interesting too because, as you mentioned, it's every part of the industry, the supply chain. So yesterday on our tour, we sat down next to a gal who was an engineer,
Oh, yeah.
and she was so sweet and fantastic. And we were like, "What do you do? What do you do?" And she had never heard of a lumber trader.
No, she said, I've never met somebody that sells lumber for a living.
We were like, "What?" Because that's all we know.
I know. And I'm like, here I am thinking I have my life together. But she was like, oh, I've always been on such a plan. Like, go to school here. I knew at 16 I was going to be a structural engineer. I went on the path. And I was like, oh, yeah, my story is really not like that. Like, I feel so chaotic compared to you. But obviously, like, it doesn't
Everyone
matter.
ended up here.
Everybody
at
ended
the
up
same
here.
place.
The same picnic table.
Same picnic table. Yeah. So just opens our eyes to how much more there is out there. And,
Yeah.
we're actually, sometimes I don't feel like I'm as close to the forest, but we are very, in the chain, we're pretty close to the forest ourselves.
We really are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's cool to see, and it's cool to see all the innovation that's happening. I mean, this is the place to see it if you want to see where mass timber is headed. So
Yes.
tomorrow there's a keynote on that Walmart headquarters.
Yes.
HQ.
2 to 3 o'clock.
Yeah. So that'll be really cool. They're going to be talking about that whole project. That's the biggest mass timber project, I think, in America right now. So
Yeah.
super cool.
It'll be really neat. They also are like a cool conference, I feel like. Just from my experience at conferences, okay, let me just preface. I come from accounting. We are nerds. Like, our conferences are like 8 to 5, and there's like sessions every hour on the hour, and you don't skip, and you go to every single thing, and it's like very intense, and you have your computer, and you're taking notes, and you're learning the whole time. Okay, fast forward, lumber. Obviously, it's not like that. I've been to conferences in the lumber industry. Much more fun. Still particular, though, about certain things like drinking. Still really intense as far as like you're there, you're on a mission to try to see everything, which is good. I mean, you're getting your dollar's worth.
Yeah.
This feels fun. It's like it's an experience. It's not like rushing through the floor. It's like hey, stop and play cornhole. Hey, there's a beer garden open the entire time. Like,
Yeah. Is
it's
that because
just-
we're here for the podcast, though?
I don't think so. I don't feel that energy while I'm
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. It
Feels
doesn't feel like that either.
it's more exploratory. It's
Yeah.
more like getting people here and letting everyone learn about
Right.
the developments and what's new in mass timber and where it's headed
Yeah.
versus like we got to sell lumber. Maybe that's the difference.
Right. Maybe that is the difference. But that's a good point. I mean, and we need every kind of,
Yes.
they all have a
Everything
place.
is important. Maybe not the accounting ones.
But I think they're all important, But this one is definitely a fun one that I'm enjoying
Yes.
particularly. And how fun that it's in our backyard in
Yes.
Portland, Oregon. We didn't have to get on a plane for this. We don't have to sleep in a hotel. It's very nice.
Yes,
Very lucky that
it's
it's
very
here.
nice.
Yeah.
And tonight we're looking forward to Women in Timber event.
Yes.
Happy hour, and it's going to be out in the main area, and I'm not quite sure what to expect, but I'm really excited. I think it's
Yeah.
just networking, and
500 attendees and
that's
Yeah.
a lot of women in
a lot
timber.
of women. Yeah, and I
And
mentioned
men.
this on our story yesterday on Instagram, but I think one of our favorite parts of the day yesterday was, oh my God, there were so many women as part of this mass timber movement, in these important roles in terms of being engineers, project leads, architects, on all these job sites that we went to, there was strong female representation as part of these big projects, and that was cool to see. Cool to meet those women, and
Yeah, hopefully we'll see them tonight
hopefully,
at the Women in Timber.
yeah. I'm so
They're
excited. for a
also
drink.
super cute shirts that they are walking around. Ooh,
Oh yeah,
we have our shirts.
we do. Oh yeah, we told people if they come up to us and they subscribe to our YouTube, they get a shirt.
They get
Well,
a
the
shirt.
first 5.
First
we're
5.
We're not loaded over here.
Yeah. Someday, but
Someday.
yeah, that's exciting. They've been, I think they've hit the market pretty well. They've been pretty well received
I
so
think
far.
they've been pretty well received.
Yes.
For the most part.
For the most part.
Should we? Or
No.
okay.
We're just talking about our husbands, don't worry.
Our actual biggest supporters.
Yes.
Minus the
Who
shirts.
do all the background work for us.
Literally. We'll make them a special. We did make them special sweatshirts.
Yeah.
So that's all that matters. They like those.
We did. So that's all we have. We are super grateful to be here.
Yes.
Shout out to everyone who made this conference come together. I mean,
Yes.
it from the outside, it's perfect. I mean, no complaints at all. So
Yes, we got Shelby, who
Shelby.
reached out to us to be here at the Mass Timber Conference and welcomed us as a part of the media team. Arnie, who's been amazing. Please check out the episode that we recorded with him. Of course, Freres for allowing us to record in their beautiful Mass Timber
MPP.
MPP.
I just learned that
display.
acronym. Can you tell I'm excited to use it?
Yeah. And
Mass plywood panel.
everybody else who really helped us make this happen. This has been really fun, and we still have, tonight
Like
and
only
tomorrow
halfway
to go.
through.
Yeah,
We have
halfway through.
a lot to go still. So
Super exciting.
Yeah, so we'll be back. We have some fun guests that we're recording here tomorrow, and those will be on the pod soon. And yeah,
Yeah, super exciting. Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.
see ya.